Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PRL for your round at the Austrian Grand Prix. 36 laps this time around with a quick short qualifying. First up on our prospectus today, multiple players back into this session that was missing last time out. Some key names back in like Tornado Kane, Pager, both back in this time around to show back up. As we quickly go over the current standings, Primary New is your leader with 122 points in that Sauber. Ivy, P number 2 with 100 points in the Ferrari. And then there's a big gap to P number 3. Pager in the Williams, but also sometimes not appearing here with 53 points. Alpha Famaniac, also a Sauber driver with 50. Likely Griffin with 50, Liam with 40, Baxter with another 35, Reaper 18 is in P9, FXD is P8 with 28, and Demo rounds out your top 10 with 13 points. But it's a very close affair with Ainder Epic with 13 as well, Agent FO9 with 12, down in P number 12, but with an amazing one-time performance showcase. As we look at the current standings for the constructors, however, it is a majority affair for the Sauber leading the way. Definitely out in front by a decent margin with 182 points so far. Ferrari in P number 2 with 118 off of the back of Ivy. Williams 102 in P number 3, and then you got that 50 point or so jump down to 56 with McLaren in P number 4. Just a little bit of a one-horse race so far for Sauber out in front for the efforts of last gen Newt, but also some decent efforts from the teammates as the differentiation factor between them and Ferrari. Currently, still waiting on players all to get into the lobby so that we can get this race undergoing. 5 minutes left. But going over what Austria may have in store for us this time out, this is quite a chaotic league, as you guys may have witnessed in previous affairs, and Austria is definitely an opportunity for chaos to thrive. Only issue is, it's not really one of those types of tracks where you can go back and forth side by side. It's kind of send it or be sent, as these heavy braking zones off of pretty much most of the track being straights causes a lot of easy overtakes to occur, and especially with the power of DRS and it's being able to use a decent amount of DRS in comparison to other people, you can absolutely bomb it up the hill and absolutely send it down the inside. So long as you don't look up, you kind of aim for the center of the corner, and that corner is yours around this circuit, which means we might see quite a lot of overtakes this time around, just like we did out in Spain. Unlike out last time out in Silverstone with the reverse track, where we didn't see many overtakes at all. Though we have seen multiple drivers who definitely wish to see an uptick in performance in terms of results, as yes, they have had some good pace at times, but the results haven't shown through for them. One of those key drivers is your driver in that Aston Martin, Ender Epic XV, with some definitive pace on their hands, but not always able to keep it clean when they need to do it most. But sadly, last time out, due to no fault of their own, ended up in a little bit of a tangle and lost out a lot of points. Ivy, a huge winner of that last race out. Meanwhile, last gen Newt having a little bit of a stumble halfway through. Definitely still had decent control, but wasn't the fastest in that race. Definitely did get outpaced at times and started to see themselves slip back through the grid. But before they knew it, due to a collision on the last set of corners, back onto the podium last time out. Hoping to replicate the consistency in form this year and get some even more podiums due to that consistency. Currently, 16 of the drivers are in the lobby before we head to Austria. Only a couple minutes away now. Key focus for me on this weekend is, can Ferrari and Ivy claw into that gap between himself and Last Gen Ute? Or is it going to continue to be Last Gen Ute scrolling away out in front? And is anyone else going to step up in consistency and showcase this week yet again their ability to showcase form? Last time out in the Red Bull, we saw a decent performance from FXDE. However, that was mostly because they were stepping in. As a couple of your key players who we saw last time out as well now enter into the lobby. AL, the Kick Sauber teammate of Last Gen Ute, definitely able to make some really good performances. 4th in the championship. But also Mysterious Fade coming back in for that Visa Cash App Racing Ball seat. Do love to see that name. Definitely has some pace behind himself, but was unfortunate out last time out in Silverstone. Krislav is a name at your CB hovering around the outer edges of the points, fighting the likes of Pager, TTB, and Baron at times. Liam is also found out around there at times in that Red Bull seat. Some other names I have yet to see in this league: AJ Kuma, Dadre, and Lewisig. 2 of these players coming from pretty far away. Dadre coming from America with some pretty poor ping connection. Same with AJ. Might that cause some issues in this race? We will definitely be there to find out. Hopefully, no one gets tackled out of the race due to that lack of connection. However, we all know what the F1 games servers are like. Might find ourselves with some technical faults at times that cause these collisions. The only thing these drivers can do if a collision does occur is keep themselves in the right frame of mind. Make sure they ain't overreacting and making sure that they can definitely perform even under the pressure. Only a couple of players left to get into the lobby then, as we are moments away from sending it to qualifying. We are seemingly waiting on at least one more player to round this out with 18 drivers today. But it might be only 17 as well. Very full lobby though this time around, and with the competitivity in the front, you definitely can see some good battles if this lobby is full. Last time out, as a quick reminder, it was a full race affair outside of safety cars and a four-way battle out of the front of the grid for the entire duration. 5-way battle in that first stint before the first safety car that was caused. But with the issues with Silverstone and Silverstone Reverse in specific, it is really, really hard to be able to dive down the inside and to be able to get an overtake made due to the characteristics of that track. This time out, we might not necessarily see some DRS trainings with the heavy braking zones, which will allow them to actually be able to contest for an overtake more consistently and maybe not get bogged down by slower drivers in front of them, keeping them up. And the tyre wear issues, due to the fact that you can actually make overtakes, might be a little bit better. But with the Austria having one of the fastest lap times on the entire calendar, traffic might play a factor this time out. If you end up having enough pace to catch round to the back of the field, you will definitely have to have some dirty air and pit stop timing awareness to capitalize. But the tyre wear definitely not as much of a contributing factor around this circuit, due to the fact that the corners are a lot more slow and tight rather than flowing back and forth, putting heavy rain drain onto the tyres. Now, it will be interesting to see how many safety cars come out this time. I'm going to predict at least 2 of those said safety cars. But my main hope for this race this time around is to see that overtake number get as high as it possibly can. We are loading into the lobby then for the Austrian short qualifying ahead of your Grand Prix for the PRL. One last time, Last Gen Newt is your current standings leader in the Kick Sauber. Ivy is P number 2 and Pager P number 3 for some consistency. AL in P number 4. Reason why the Saubers are leading the way. And Likely Griffin P number 5 in the McLarens. Both those standings can definitely be interpreted based off of the fact that multiple cases of no-shows or having to get a sub has happened, and that has definitely delayed the points haul for some of these players. And some of these stand-in drivers at times can have some amazing pace. We saw from Tornado Kane in Spain, he may not have been necessarily able to keep it on track and clean, but the pace is definitely there for some of these sub-drivers, even though they aren't full-time fixtures. But there we are then, into the lobby for the PRL Austrian Grand Prix. Who's going to be out on track first? It's going to be a little bit of a waiting game, it seems, to see who comes out first this time around. Here the engines roar to life around the Styrian Hills and the glorious landscape as we see F Baron come out onto the track, first out of the pit lane as well, having one of those later pit boxes at their disposal. One qualifying session then, so we're going to be seeing multiple laps from these drivers, and with the short lap time they can definitely play around with their speed and get these tyres warmed up. But the issue is, there's not really anywhere that can punish the tyres too heavily to get them into that performance window and keep them there. So this warm-up lap definitely can provide some use to the warming of the tyres. So we see a flood of people coming out on track. Also key to mention, due to the track length being so short here in the Styrian Mountains, finding a bit of open air, clean air for your car, maybe even some slipstream at an opportune time, might be able to gain you a few tenths and raise you multiple positions that you may not have got otherwise, just based on track time. F-Bound getting way out of the way of anyone else, trying to get as much clear air as possible for themselves. A little bit wide on this corner, but we're going to watch on this lap then for F Baron. Open up the DRS as early as you can, going onto the straight. It's going to curve up a little bit, car in the pit lane, but it doesn't seem like they're going to come out onto track in their way, so goes for corner 1. It's a little bit of slide, but does still keep the car straightened very early. Deploys the ERS. You're going to be able to get quite a lot of it back in this braking zone coming up this hill. Deploy a brake as late as you can, past the 100 meter board if you dare. Get back over to the left, get accelerated through straightening up that car early, making sure that you hit the apex early rather than late. Get to the left, try and use all of the track that you can, turn it in, get it snapped in for that tight right-hander that is off camber. Then make sure you get back to the left to the right, because again, another off-camber left-hander that's going to quickly flow into another second left-hander as well. But you've got to make sure you hit the accelerator not too early, but if you hit it too late, you're going to lose a lot of time. Then you charge back here. Again, another off-camber right-hander. Lots of momentum can be changed, but it's really difficult sometimes to not overshoot into that final right-hander. Dash to the line then, and that's F-Bound with a 1 minute 5 flat as our pacer, but the lap did get deleted. So James, first set of clean lap is 1:55.693, but there goes Ivy with a 1:4.202, and Liam with a absolutely rapid time for this early in the session. A 1 minute 3, 4:88. Wow, that is a lap time to set on your first lap around Austria. Ender Epic with a little bit of a response. Second driver we see now into the 1 minute freeze with a 9:32. Last Gen putting in his first effort into the track as well with a 1 minute 3, 8:44, taking away that second place from Ender Epic. But again, of this first round of lap times, it is an absolute stunner coming out from Liam with a 1:3.488. Lap time then, coming in for a couple of the drivers. Currently the Haas is lining up within a tenth of each other in P8 and P9, but half of the session yet to set a lap time. Philippe Dutt already used a lot of his ERS, leaving himself not a lot left for this final sector then. Hitting that left-hand corner, it's a little bit wide of the apex, drifts quite wide, losing a little bit of that minimum speed. Gets back over though, deploys that ERS to kick off of the corner, gets a little bit of dirty air wash, but nothing too impactful there. But does also get a little bit more dirty air coming through the right-hander. Traffic tries to get out of the way, diving into the pit lane. So his final corner is going to be clear. It's a dash to the line then, just enough ERS as well. And it's P number 7, sliding in directly behind their teammate, Tornado Kane in P number 6. Lewis Sigblid coming now through the final corners to set their first lap time. Little bit wide, but not too far over. This lap time should still stick for P number 9 behind Chris Lav as the Hasses drop to P11 and P12. Dadre with almost no ERS though, unable to set a lap time, but does stick. Mysterious Fade, what can you showcase for us? 22% in the ERS, plenty to deploy for the rest of this lap. Gets a nice corner through, drifts on the back end and goes wide on that final right-hander. Lap time sticks for now. It's a 1 minute 4.644, splitting the two McLarens for P number 7. Current order standings: Liam with a stonker in P number 1, 1-3. Last Gen Nuke P2, Ender Epic P number 3, Ivy in P number 4. And a couple of the drivers also showcasing what they have. But only issue is, can anyone challenge Liam's current lap time of a 1 minute 3? 11 minutes 40 left in the session. Potentially expecting 3 sets of laps out of the drivers for definite. Always room for 4 sets of laps to come on out. Ender Epic and Ivy out on track and near each other, with Maro also yet to come out on the pit set a lap time. Pager, F Baron yet to find a lap time. McLaren a little bit wide. Ivy trying to get in front of Ender Epic, trying to seize that opportunity to get a little bit of space. We've seen already a few people struggle with track limits, trying to push the absolute limits of the track, and a couple other people also finding difficulty with finding time and clear air, impeding their laps just a little bit. 4 drivers in this session yet to set a time. AL sets a time of a 1:04, nearly flat, to take away P4 from Ivy. So what has Ivy got in response? Already using an ERS into the first corner, get as much acceleration as you can. Back up to the hill, deploy it for as long as you dare. Yellow flag just in front. So are they going to get impeded into the tight right-hander up the hill? Seems to clear the way. Little bit of locking on the tyres for the right-hander. To accelerate, get back over to the right, trying to short shoot this entire straight. Comes on by that one car, but gets in a little bit of dirty air now coming out from this RP. He gets out over to the right, gets out of the way. Still a little bit of an effect of dirty air on this lap. So Ivy definitely will have some more in the bag. But clear air it seems until potentially the final few corners. Keeps it in 5th, gets those RPMs really high. A little bit of dirty air now, but surely this Haas gets out of the way. Nice little slipstream as well coming down the straight, but gets impeded entirely. The Haas doesn't get out of the way. Now 1 corner, but what's the lap time going to be with that impediment? 1 minute 3? No, not quite. Actually, updates even later for a 1 minute 3, 725. potentially getting a benefit out of that slipstream that might have offset that little bit of blockage. Ender Epic still coming on through. RPM's a lot lower than what we saw from Ivy. Going through the double right-hander, charging to the line, still has plenty of ERS, who potentially seeing 2 warm-up laps coming out from Ender Epic instead. Chugs in for that first corner, charging up the hill. What kind of ERS do you decide to leave yourself with? 48 before you turn it off. Up to the top of the hill. Caution in sector 2 as Ender Epic is now about to be entering. But it does clear away just in time. Last Gen Newt still just barely in front of Ivy by 0.003 of a second. But does Ender Epic have anything to say about these two positions? Or does Ender Epic have someone in the bag that can challenge Liam? Instead, on top of it, now going through to the end of sector 2. Lots of dust and debris in the face of Ender Epic and heavy traffic. That is not what you want to see. Ender's Epic Laps is absolutely thwarted by the traffic and just dives into the pit lane. Nothing more you're going to find with that lap time due to that unfortunate circumstance. Liam, huge twitch in turn 1, trying to eke out the lap time but just backs on out of it after that twitch. Resaves the tyres, cools them down, saves up the battery. So is it Last Gen Newt then, heading onto a lap of their own or into the pit lane instead? That is Last Gen. Philaduke with only 37% ERS in the bag. Not on a stunner of a lap. Bakes are definitely on a cooldown lap of their own. Low Sig Billard now on the lap of their own. Both Mercedes 2/10 splitting them. What can we find? 24% ERS left. Chooses to use a little bit more, trying to eke out every 10th they can. Now for the right-hander, it's clear on entry, clear on exit. Gets it a little bit wide, but keeps it sticked on the exit. Cross the line and finds a 1/10 improvement, but no improvement in position. F Baron still yet to set a successful lap, coming back into the pits once again. Gimli now also in the session. What kind of lap time can we see from Chris Lav's teammate being their first potential laps? Yellow flags across all 3 sectors as drivers try and dip and dive out of the way on this very short track where there's barely enough room to fit all these cars in qualifying. Debris also being scattered from the bollards. Braking markers being removed from people who may be reliant on them. Lots of ERS left in the tank for Gimli. This lap might not be the fastest, but with 6 minutes left, Gimli looking for a banker wide on that corner as well. But with fuel issues, you gotta think they're coming into the pit lane. As in, nope, they're still going. They definitely have enough fuel to make it across the line then. Gimli, what is your lap time? Baxter out of the session, and Gimli, it's only P number 18. Last of anyone to set a time. Well, 1 minute 6. Pager on a lap of their own, currently in P number 5. Ahead of one of the 2 Saubers. Behind Ender, Ivy, Last Gen, and Liam. Not on a stunner of a lap with 55 seconds currently already. So in the lap is the presumption then. Yup, cuts across the corners because no punishment of how you enter this pit lane. Reaper sets a time now. 1 minute 4, 4:70, little bit of a late join, but sets a decent lap already. Makes a second Red Bull slot into that top 10 with P number 8. Still looking from a lap time from Marrow and F Baron. But only 3 seconds separate your top 18. And if you cut off from P number 11. All of the drivers covered by 1.2 seconds. Drivers who probably can find some extra lap time based on previous performance. Tornado Kane definitely has something in the bag. Mystery Fade, if you look back out at Silverstone, had some more pace. But some of the other top flight drivers showing up this time, unlike last time when I was missing. 20 seconds coming into sector 2 so far. Let's check out on Liam, who is currently down 2 tenths on his previous lap time, with 3 minutes left on the board. If he has another set of tyres, has enough time to pit back in and get back out with another set, but it will be tight to find a good gap for yourself. Reaper potentially on another lap here, utilising all of that ERS, but with that braking point, nope, definitely coming into the pit lane. Philly Dutton definitely starting a lap then with the ERS burn up the hill, coming on out. Decent clear track air as well for the lap. 1 minute 4:45.2 is their current lap time. Hits the DRS on the acceleration then, coming towards the tight right-hander, which really does slip away at you at times. You get so loose on that corner. Sticks it though, this time quite cleanly. Now for the double left-hander. Flicks it through the first one, gets it back over to the right-hand side. Flicks it for the second, little bit of drift on the rear end, but sticks it. Coming through with 13% ERS, gets slipstream, but will also have to then tackle the dirty air coming through these corners. Luckily, it's two drivers setting decent pace, so it's not going to be too much of an hindrance, and the slipstream is going to pay for a 2/10 improvement, but still sticks P7. Ivy currently charging up the hill, Ender Epic. First of these three drivers then on track to set a time to try and contest Liam for P number 1. Currently Ender Epic P number 4. Worst out of the top 4 drivers challenging for P number 1. Lots of curb riding there. Lots of curb on the outside as well. Does the lap time stick? Yes, and it's an improvement by 4/10 of a second to get P number 2. Last Gen now 2 seconds down on their lap time. So saving to go again. So it's Ivy then, the one who's going to come across the line next. Currently 16% battery. Flicking through the right-hander. Really, really wide. Lap might be deleted. And it's 2/10 slower, even if it isn't. Last Gen on a lap then. 1/10 down in that first sector. Gotta find at least 1/10 to match their previous best. So 3 attempts for them to be able to beat Ender Epic, and with that slide, you've got to think they've lost another couple of tenths of a second in this lap time. Unlikely for Last Gen to find anything else, and with such little time left on the clock, it's unlikely for Last Gen to be able to set enough a lap time with a lack of ERS available to themselves as well. Flicks it through anyway, tries to make it stick, goes quite right to the edge, crossed the line with a 1 minute 3:7 again, finds time in that last sector, but it's not enough for an improvement and keeps himself P3. Ivy then, coming across the line to try another lap, not enough time to go into the pit lane, but you really want to try find something. You found enough ERS, you found a little bit of time and air on the session. Ender Epic not able to find enough lap time, so retires out of the session as well. Charging up the hill then, one last time with Ivy. 0.02 of a second improvement so far in sector number 1, but horrible twitch coming out of the right-hand king, going up the hill. Might have lost him a couple of attempts in the straight line. Uses up all of that outside curve before turning in right. Uses even more ERS to try and make up acceleration. Coming for another double left-hander. Seeing the Sauber get out of the way. Little bit of car in front. But a distant in front. Might be able to pick up a little bit of a slipstream. But also will pick up a little bit of dirty air. Coming through these right-hand corners. Makes it skid, but saves off the ERS. And Ivy unable to find an improvement in lap time. So, your grid then for the PRL is set. No one finding lap time improvements in the dying stages within the upper echelons of the grid. But an absolute amazing lap time from Liam, set on their first flying lap on all. 1 minute 3, 278, 2/10 a second ahead of Ender Epic, who finds a last lap improvement to get themselves a 1 minute 3, 5 in P number 2. Last Gen Ute comes in your championship leader in P number 3. Ivy P number 4 directly behind their championship contender, but still 70 points back on Last Gen currently in the standings. Pager P number 5. Next up on the timesheet, AL for the Kick Sauber round with a 6th place. However, 5th place grid drop penalty coming into this race. Tornado Kane finding his best lap time on the medium set of tyres with a 1 minute 4. Gonna save a set of softs for the race. However, not necessarily needed to start on the mediums like the rules used to be with the new changes to F1 regulations. You can start on whatever tyre you wish to start with, no matter what you qualify on. But if this was back in the Q2 era tyre setting compound, Tornado Kane would find themselves an advantage. Waiting for the players then to load on in and set up and confirm their setups for the race. With Parc Fermé in effect, not many adjustments can be made, but sometimes a minor tweak here or there could just reassure a weak spot in the car. Maybe you have a loose rear end and you put a little bit of downforce on. Maybe it helps stabilize it. Maybe it doesn't, but sometimes the effort is what it takes. Potentially a two-stop strategy here at Austria for these drivers. Definitely not a three-stop affair here at Austria. And one-stop affairs have worked in the past in previous seasons. Though tyre wear on this game, especially on the rear on heavy acceleration-based circuits, can be quite punishing, as the lights tick on for the formation lap. Liam will be leading us away. Warm up the tyres. Make sure you don't make any kind of contact, or you'll be set with cold tyres on the grid. AJ DSQ'd already on, gonna be starting with those cold tyres. Quick pace then coming from Liam so far. As Liam tries to warm up those tyres with very quick weaving. IL and Krislav down the grid, both finding themselves tangling with cold tyres for the start. Mystery Paid is P10, AL is P11, Krislav P12, Lewis Sig P13, AJ P14, Dadre P15, James P16, TTB P17, Gimli 18, Baron and Maro both yet to set a time in qualifying. P19 and P20 to round out the back of the grid. But all eyes will be at the front of this race to see if Liam, Ender, Last Gen and Ivy can produce an epic duel for the front of the grid, like we saw last time out at Silverstone. As the grid in the back starts to form up. Last couple of drivers then coming to the grid. Mauro stalling out the coldness of the tyres at the front. Quick, short run to the first corner then. Nearly half of the drivers starting on cold tyres. And the lights tick on for the Austrian Grand Prix as we are underway. Liam ghosting into turn number 1. And ghosting going on across the board in a couple of places. But Liam makes it clean out of turn number 1. Last Gen Newt makes a clear gap to Ivy already on the start. Charging up the hill then behind Liam. Does he have the dive? He will send it already. Gets on the inside on those medium tyres. Stickier compound than Liam in its earlier phase, which we saw last time out. Liam's choosing to use the harder tyre compound. But now, diving, Liam tries to get back in the slipstream as behind. Seeing 2 wides between the Red Bull and the Williams, McLaren and the RB. Trying to get past is Baxter on Reaper, and he does make it stick. Mystery Fade slotting in behind with Tornado Kane still keeping it in action, but doesn't get through. Has to get a little bit wide on Epic on exit, but in the end still tossing and turving as Reaper drops massively through the grid, getting wide onto the gravel. As Last Gen Newt leads us away then for lap number 1. Pushing out in sector number 2. Close battle between Bexer and Tornado still fighting out on grid. Up to P number 7 already for Tornado Kane. As we start lap 2 and climb up the hill. Once again, Liam with DRS open on the back of Last Gen Newt, but has to be looking back at Ivy, who's closer onto the back of them. No chance for the dive bomb with the DRS train forming. We're looking back again. Tornado Kane sending it on their teammate. Baxter also getting past Philly Dutch at the same time. Huge barge by Lotus C on the send onto the RB. Forces them wide and drops huge positions further down in the grid. Baxter again side by side with the McLaren on the medium tyres, trying to make it work. On those hards, it's going to be difficult at this stage. Less stickiness coming out. Drops back in behind the Williams. As Losick on the back of Gimli, trying to go back forward after a little bit of an issue. And Dardre in P20 in the Mercedes as well, also finding issues early on in this race. So it's Last Gen leading us again onto lap number 3. DRS train between the top 5 drivers. Coming through to the hill again. Does Last Gen Newt have enough in response 2 laps in a row to defend off the efforts of Liam? Though it is crucial to say, here at Austria, it's a low downforce track, so the DRS gives less of a benefit to the drivers than it would do out here at Spain or any of the high downforce circuits. Krislav and Baron, 3 wide with both RBs, making a little bit of contact as well, but it's Krislav coming out the better. Which of the RBs is going to make it stick? It's the one on the mediums, Mystery Fade on the inside line, trying to get past his teammate F Baron on the hards. Currently still ahead, but Baron moving around in the background, trying to find an angle, but isn't able to find anything. Stuck behind Krislav now, going through the second left King on the back-to-back. Potential move here for Mystery Fade, but Baron also trying to make a move back on them. So it's going to be tight into the corner. It's actually Baron sticking it round the outside of Mystery Fade to get back into P number 11. As up further in the grid, Baxter making the move stick onto Tornado into the first corner. A little bit of contact, forces him over the curb. So Tornado is going to rejoin back out in front, which is going to give a huge run to Philidut in the background. Neither driver opening DRS, which is going to give just a huge chance to dive on in on Baxter on those hard tyres. But Baxter with a nice switch back on using the grip early on this race to switch it back on the McLarens, but actually Philidut again with DRS, going back at Baxter, but he does have the inside line to defend this position. He's going to use the track, nearly forces him wide, gets a twitch on as well, but surely might have it stick around the outside, but Dut keeps it nose in, but doesn't find anything more, but a wide exit. It gives him a minor opportunity to come back into it. As we see the Ferrari of Maro behind. Absolutely amazing run up to P number 9 so far, as Bex is still trying to make it past Tornado Kane. And is it going to be Philidut also getting past Tornado Kane, who has picked up himself up a penalty? As Baxter runs right, picks himself up a penalty of his own, coming through that last corner. Tornado Kane keeps it in front of Philidut. And as we look to the front of the grid, Last Gen Youth has been overtaken by Liam back on those hards as we enter lap number 5. Ivy, Pager and Ender still stuck in order at the moment. Last Gen Youth trying to make his way to another victory this season. But the battle behind for P number 6 is ramping up even more. Vexter gets back in front of Tornado Kane yet again, but contact on the back end from Tornado Kane, practically forcing Vexter through the corner. 5 seconds is the gap to the top 5. Already filming in this race. 2 separate heads and groups forming out on track now. Vexter with some rough defense coming through, but it's all a bit rough from all of these drivers as well. P number 6, heavily contested. Tornado Kane, back with DRS, wide open again, gets another great run, gets back in front of Vexter into turn number 1, but sends it so completely wide, nearly tags Vexter on the back end as well, coming back across the curve. Does also having to drop back behind Maro. So now Maro is going to get a run onto Tornado Kane. Is he going to make it stick instantly? No, he's going to make contact, lock up, hit the front wing of Tornado Kane. He's going to switch back on him, get back in front, but still going to try and cut off the inside line. Make sure he can make this stick, drifting in through the corner. But as Maro locks up in the background as well. This gives a little bit of reprieve for Vexter to try and break the gap. Maybe break the DRS, but at least the threat range for 1 lap to cool down his tyres. But Tornado Kane still putting on the charge forward. As we look back to the front, Ivy finds himself 1.2 seconds out of the DRS of Last Gen, who's slowly drifting away from Liam in P number 1, 9/10 on the bubble. But with back-to-back DRS drones, we see themselves eke towards them just a little bit. But now Ivy is going to be in a rough spot from the efforts of Pager and Ender Epic behind, who have DRS on him now. As we look back again, it is just Tornado Kane storming back to first as Maro is trying to repass Tornado Kane. This time around the outtime, setting up the switch pack, cuts in front of Vexter to try and make it work. It's a little bit of a slide on, so now Vexter might be able to get the run onto Maro instead. But with some good ERS usage, it's actually ending up tackling into the side of Tornado Kane, pounces past, and Vexter tacks the back end of Tornado Kane and sets him spinning. Mystery Fade catching up to this battle for P number 6 as well. Dutt now picking up a penalty of their own. Maro with plenty of pace on their hands, hoping to just get away from this scrap on track, get themselves into clear air, and luckily, seemingly unscathed in comparison to the drivers in this pack. Last Gen is still on the back of Liam by about 6/10, unlikely to be able to find a dive, but it's 2-second gap now found. Back to Ivy, caution in the last sector. TTP hitting struggles, Daldre hitting struggles as well. 26 and 21 seconds adrift from the entire field. But Ivy doing a good defense here, so far against Pager. Not able to actually find some threat onto Ivy yet, even with the back-to-back DRS zones. As we look backwards, Vexter has made their way back past Maro, even with that broken front wing, hindering them. As behind, Tornado Kane again is storming on by a Mystery Fade with some amazing pace, but absolutely ruthless combat style, which is going to bring F Baron into this mix for P number 6 as well. It is 2 RBs, 2 McLarens, a Red Bull and a Williams out on track for P number 6, stretching down to P number 11, covered by 3 to 4 seconds on the grid. F Baron gets past William Philippot through the last 2 corners to get behind his teammate. Pager is so much closer this time around to Pet Ivy. It's not going to be enough to send it up the hill, but will it be enough to actually get the good exit and go towards the corner with the second DRS usage? Doesn't seem like it, as Ivy gets a good exit, Vexter keeps position as Tornado Kane sends it down the inside of Maro, forces him wide, which allows Mystery Fade to also come on by. Mystery Fade then trying to make a move on Tornado Kane, but unable to match him in the braking zones as the lockup comes out on Tornado Kane's tires. That's going to put a huge wear cycle on them now. But Vexter able to break the DRS, finally get himself a bit of clear air, even with that broken front wing. Last Gen now slipping 2.4 seconds behind Liam. Pager trying to make a move on Ivy, but won't need to, have Ivy 10 laps in, already finding themselves coming in to pit off of those medium tyres. Vexter 2.6 seconds now ahead of Tornado Kane. Mystery Fade already on the inside with DRS. Maro, huge sweep, nearly hits the wall, nearly takes himself out of the race. Tornado Kane trying to bump through, jumps over the curb, clattering back onto the track. Gonna get a poor exit and leaving Maro opportunity to come back at them. But instead it's Tornado Kane absolutely sending it, forcing Mystery Fade to take avoidance action. Gets caught up by Maro, also sending it deep into the corner. As F Baron now, the one trying to capitalize, but doesn't have DRS on the back of Maro, so it's going to be down to the braking zone. But issues for Mystery Fade in the braking zone causes F Baron to pick up damage. Tornado Kane making a ruckus, slowing up in front of F Baron as well. It's End Epic on the back of Pager. Gonna get himself some clear air for a lap as Pager responds to the pit from Ivy. Last Gen New splitting 3.5 seconds off of Liam on those hard tyres now. It seems the medium tyres starting to fall off. Maro dives into the pits. You see Mystery Fade in the background also dive into the pits. Only issue for Ivy is they have a lot of pace, but they have caught up to this train behind Tornado Kane. Can they get through cleanly on the hard tyres that are much fresher? Already dispatches of Krislav, the first driver in this train then, directly behind the back of F Baron. Do they get tangled? Dives it down the inside, and they do. Ivy ends up making contact with Tornado Kane, gets spun around, 3 wide in the braking point, not enough room left on the outside as the corner was coming up, and that leaves Ivy losing out a huge amount of times to Pager, who's going to find themselves in front of Ivy now. Krislav, now the one on the back end of Tornado Kane's wrath. Can he find himself a gap to get through this session? As F Baron leaves the session for the moment. Pager comes on through, let through by Krislav. Does Tornado Kane put up a fight against Pager like he puts up against absolutely everyone? Pager seems to have learnt his lesson and is just slowing it up, letting Tornado Kane dive into the pits as a virtual safety car comes out on track. Liam, your leader, 6 seconds ahead of Last Gen. Pulls a absolute massive gap. Pager already pit. Ivy finding even worse difficulty getting a penalty and getting caught up in Tornado Kane's antics. Finds himself P number 5 with a penalty behind Pager when he was out in front. Last Gen, Liam and Ender Epic all gonna get 3 pit stops then in front of Pager and Ivy. Luckily, it's only Ender Epic who's going to be the beneficiary, as the VSC is actually caught off really quickly, so the free pit stop isn't actually going to be available for these drivers. Back up to racing speeds, you will see Ender Epic and Last Gen both dive into the pits. It is a very quick pit lane here, but it seems that Pager might have been able to eke out that pit stop gap already. 17 seconds on the bubble. As he drops Ivy on the acceleration, and with no penalty, might just be able to dip Ivy in terms of this race as well. Maro's still clean in P number 8, Mystery Fade P number 9, Baron, Vexter, both with penalties P6 and P7. Tornado Kane after pitting drops all the way down to P number 13. Pager does come out in front of Ender Epic then, but behind Last Gen New by 1.7 seconds, which is closer than the gap was prior to the pit stop cycle. So Pager able to find a lot of time to gain back on last gen news through the pit stop cycle then. Liam is still yet to pit. What kind of dent can these drivers pull on these fresher compounds? Because they really got to make it work now. You've got to find the time now before Liam ends up on the faster tyres later on in this race. The benefit of using the hards early and finding yourself out in front is you just have the faster tyres for the last segment of this race, and you will find yourself not having any kind of issues in terms of tyre wear if you can just pace yourself with the tyres. But the DRS gaps wide enough as Ivy goes for a spin in the background. Potentially still running with a little bit of damage, making sure to get out of the way with Bexter. And it's just an unfortunate turn of events. 100 points they are currently sat on. Really wanting to make some good ground and potentially beat Last Gen this time to catch up. But instead, Last Gen is just going to be able to have an stomping lead over Ivy at this current moment, unless any issues go their way. Ender Epic then, making a charge after the pit stops to catch up to the back of Pager within a span of a lap and a half already. Within that DRS range, Tornado Kane and Philaduts both also with many penalties stacking up. Close on track again, with Chris left behind, but 6 seconds back from Mystery Sane, Marrow and Bexter, who get themselves a clean distance from Tornado Kane. And Epic DRS open. 1/10 faster that lap than their personal best. 2/10 up going into this hill segment. If Ender Epic has DRS to deploy, this might as well be a done deal move. Pager moves over to the right really early on, and it's easy for Ender Epic. It does lock up into the corner though, but easy as you'd like it. Now DRS back open on the hands of Pager. Last Gen already cutting it down by 4 seconds to Liam. Under some 20 seconds now is the gap to first. Good pace coming out by Last Gen Newt from this main stain strategy. What kind of response does Pager have to Ender Epic's pace? Does being behind with the slipstream allow him to keep up and maybe even contest? Or can Ender Epic pull away and maybe chase down Last Gen? Based off of the pit time speed so far, favouring the end of Ender Epic. But very, very quietly, Williams have themselves P4 and P5 on the road. Amazing outing so far in this race, with 20 laps remaining. 16 down so far at the Austrian Grand Prix at the PRL, as we see F Baron back into the session, all the way back at the end, back of the grid now, under AI control. As we try and wait to see if Pager has a response, which he does not this time around. We look back through the grid then, as Ivy also behind the back of Bexter. We might actually have a move on here. Gets huge momentum going into the braking zone. Does find the inside line, but doesn't find the braking zone, so just going to leave it for now. Currently, your biggest gainers going to be Bexter and Marrow. Marrow from last to 7th, and Bexter up to P number 5. But your worst droppers is going to be AL and F Baron. As a red flag is called, Tornado Kane is out of the race, out of the session from causing his disruptions. And this is a red flag caused by severity of collisions, it seems. As we're going to wait to see what will be the difference maker of this red flag. Still waiting at the moment. as this red flag causes a disturbance and a bunch of people end in just a black screen. As questions come out to why red flags are on, and we have a lot of discussion about how many bugs and collisions have occurred in this race. As I would like to quickly apologize about the racing standard, as we might need a lobby restart due to a current black screen issue, as the lobby is failing to get to the red flag screen. We will just have a moment as we need to sort out what the technical issues may have been that caused this red flag. Sorry for the delays. Though we will quickly go over the championship standings to readjust and take a moment to calm down from the action that has occurred. In the construction standings, then, it's Sauber leading the way over Ferrari with a 64-point gap. Williams only 16 points behind Ferrari with amazing position in that race. P4 and P5 for Pager and Bexter. P number 4 is McLaren with only 56 points. And not too much in this race, especially with the shenanigans between Tornado and Dutt. Your driver standings then, leading the way is Primary Newt with 122 over Ivy at 100. 22-point lead with Pager and P number 3 of only 53. AL with a huge, shocking performance right now. All the way down in the depths. Unable to potentially add to the 50 points he currently has. Likely Griffin not in this race. Liam in P number 6 leading the session. Dexter P number 7 with 35. FXDE with 28 and 8th. Reaper P9 and Demo P10 with End Epic. With another solid performance so far, you're P at 11th in the standings. As we are trying to see if we are getting a 25% or a finished session. Sorry for the confusion, we are just waiting on the admin insights on this occasion. As I will toss to a Be Right Back screen, as this is a bug that has occurred. And I need to get myself situated with this bug. We will be back shortly with the bugs on standing. As complaints about driver quality comes on out. We do have some people wanting a finish as it was, which will be disappointing and a very quick finish, but with the driving standards today is a very safe option. Though we do have people who want to get this going again and to try and improve their current finishing positions. I will relay as the news as I get the news, but currently just waiting on it to come on through. Currently, it is roughly 50-50, so we're at a little bit of a stalemate in terms of if this lobby will restart.
That was just epic, absolutely. Just first class.
Just
Yes!
currently, we do have a slight agreement that the racing quality might get us a vote for finish as it was. Currently a 7-5 vote. 8-5 is the vote at the moment. Still a few drivers to participate in the vote. With it being approaching 7 o'clock, this has been the PRL as it has been so far. The leader was Liam, leading away last gen on a different strategy before a red flag bug has caused a slight delay and potential change of plans for the rest of this race. Afraid we will have to apologize due to these unfortunate circumstances, as currently the call is in favor of 100 points awarded, with not everyone voting. It's a case of you should have voted, and instead we will have Liam as your race winner for the Austrian Grand Prix. As an alternate solution has been provided of 50% points for what has been done so far and 50% for doing a 25% race. But to me, that seems a little bit out of left field. We will try and figure out what is going on in this session, in this regards of interviews as well shortly, but the priority is to make sure we know if this race is going to be restarting. A couple people wanted to restart the 25% race fit with extra points. Actually, a decent amount of people voting for that one at the moment. More so than just 25% carry on. Currently, the vote for 50% has made it even more in favor of 100% points ended there. As Tornado Kane is trying to defend himself and his way of racing. As we try and figure out if the interviews will go ahead. Trying to figure out Right, so we will potentially be getting some interviews on the way with the podium takers. P3 was Ender Epic, Nugent was P2, and Liam, you're P number 1. Just figuring out how this is going to go down, especially considering the race was a red flag finish. And it is unfortunate to end it in this regard. As for P number 3, we will have Ender Epic as our first interviewee. Vote that will be in just about 5 minutes time. So in the meantime, as we look to the standing boards and the effects of this race, it is going to be another good points haul for primary last gen new to himself, with P number 2, 18 points to Ivy's struggle and clash with Tornado Kane, giving him a lackluster performance, especially running in that top 5 prior to the pit stop and the incident. Meanwhile, Liam sets another good back-to-back on the bounce races, bumping his 40 points with a further 25 with that race win. Jumping Likely Griffin and AL, but not Pager due to Pager coming in and B4, just keeping himself barely in front of Liam. And a Ender Epic result that hasn't been ruined this time around by some later race difficulties, awards himself P number 3 and a solid 15 points, more than doubling his current point tally. As the rest of the grid was still unclear of their finishing positions, so unfortunately cannot report back to you what those positions were at the moment. But Talbot taking off a decent points haul. Williams takes an amazing points haul compared to Ferrari, and potentially will see themselves jumping Ferrari in the standings. If I have done the math correct, they might just be able to jump Ferrari due to Ivy struggles, denying him points to deny the points of Pager, and then the secondary teammate of that Williams being in a better position than the Ferrari of Barrow, who did have a good race, but it will definitely be close to whether or not it is them overtaking Ferrari. Either way, spicy championship fight for P number 2, whereas Sauber long ways out in front now. But a little bit of an unfortunate affair with AL does mean that they don't bring as many points home as they probably would have foreseen, especially after qualifying.
Whew.
And we will be back with the interview.
You go
Well,
first.
then, Ender Epic. Coming in P number 3, how do you feel just in general about that result then?
I'm very happy with that result. I've been around the podium quite a few times. Obviously, last race, very unfortunate what I did. But yeah, it's nice to finish on the podium today. I had quite a good qualifying. Not a great start, but I managed to claw it back.
All right, yeah. So with the red flag, do you think that if the red flag didn't go as it did, how do you think the rest of the race would have planned out?
Well, Liam was on hards, so he would have had to take mediums to the end. So that would have put me and Newt in a really good position to maybe challenge for the lead. That would have put us 1 and 2. If the red flag hadn't have even come out, Pager was still quite close behind me. I was sort of breaking him a bit, but he was running lower wing, so he might have got back past me. So I've sort of been... It was a bit 50-50 with whether I was going to stay ahead of him or not. But I'm quite happy that I overtook him because I only took him like a lap before the red flag came out.
Yeah, you definitely had good pace on that restart after the pit stop though, and you caught up very quickly. Is there any specific point where you felt that you could have maybe found a gap earlier on in the race to take a position, or did you think the DRS train was a bit too powerful early on?
Yeah, the main problem with this game is just how bad the dirty air is. And as you said, like when I was in clean air, I was just able to push. As soon as you get up behind another car, you just get a wash of dirty air. And obviously going onto the main straight, you have 2 fast right-handers and you just drop so much time that it can be quite hard to make an overtake.
All right, yeah. So I think final one that I'm going to ask is with the DRS train at the very start, as you saw that you had the 2 McLarens dropping off. How was the battle at the start? What was your ideas of how it was like going? How it folded out like at the very front? Because I couldn't see anything from the very front. How was the very front looking?
Well, you had Newt and Liam sort of in. You had like a nice 5-car train of me, Pager, Ivy, Newt, and then Liam. I knew that I wasn't going to get past in the DRS train just because of how powerful the DRS was, so I just thought I'd stick back a bit and maybe undercut. But then when I realised I was going to undercut into the train, I thought I'm just going to stay out because I don't want to get involved in what was just absolute chaos behind me. So then obviously the virtual safety car came out. I just passed the pit lane, which is a bit unfortunate, and then came out, managed to get ahead of Ivy, managed to come out behind Pedro on fresher tyres, caught him, overtook him, and that was the end of the race.
One rounding off question then. You have had some previous results that were nearly good, but you just haven't had a clear run to the finish. How does it feel to finally be able to actually finish a race within those good positions?
It does feel quite good because I always feel like I can do this, and it's always something on my side that lets me down. So I always go away from it feeling like I could have done better. But it is nice to finally have the result and just a good mindset to go into like the next few races.
All right, thank you. So there's 15 points. Would leave you on 28 in the standings. That will jump you inside the top 10 now because you were sitting in 11th. Now you're sitting inside the top 10.
Nice.
That's all good silence.
Well, I missed quite a few of the early rounds, and obviously haven't been scoring points, so it's just about getting Aston Martin as high as I can at this point. That's just about consistency, good results. Don't think I'm going to break into the top 3, maybe even the top 6, but I'll just try my hardest, get as high as I can.
I mean, the top 3 is obviously you got Newt on 122 before this race. I was on 100, and then Pager almost half the points down in 53. But I think as soon as you get to 3rd down, the majority of them haven't raced every race. So I think it's going to be really tight to battle for that final podium position in the standings for the first season.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see. Also, it depends how many races Liam shows up to, because he'll definitely beat me at everyone he shows up to. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, he is currently sitting in 6th, plus those 25 bumps him up almost maybe, if not above Pager, in 3rd.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm quite excited for a lot of the tracks that are coming up because I'm quite good at qualifying around them, so maybe I'll just get the car into a good position quite high and then just hold everybody off.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Newt.
Hello.
Hello. So, first of all, how do you think your race went from the start all the way to lap 16 when the red flag happened?
I think it's alright. I was in the position that I was expecting to be in. I don't really want to race Liam very hard because he's my manager and I don't want to piss him off. But I didn't really have the pace to beat him anyway, and he was on the 1 stop and I was on the 2 stop, so I was never going to beat him. So P2 was the best that I was going to get, and yeah, I didn't really have any danger from behind, so I was kind of just driving by myself for most of it.
Yeah, because at the point of the red flag, you were 17 seconds behind Liam, and then a further 4 behind you was Ender Epic, so kind of sitting in your own kind of race there.
Yeah, it was pretty boring. I didn't really have much to do.
Well then, how does it feel to be leading the standings and pulling a little bit further away with a result, even if it's not the top step of the podium?
Yeah, it's good. It's annoying because I do want a fight for the championship, but it seems Ivy gets taken out every race, so I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I think I'm an entire race run ahead of him now, so it's a good position to be in, but I kind of just show up to the races. I don't really practice for them much, so it is what it is. Whatever I get. I don't really mind.
You're just rubbing it in your quick there.
No, I genuinely think it's really unfortunate because he does have good pace, but he just gets.
Yeah, because I was watching it because I was right behind. I had Pager was sitting in the place above me, and he then saw Ivy get taken out, and then he spun it like 2 laps later, which then caused me to finish ahead of him. So it was really unlucky from Ivy, but I think 3 pieces of contact he had with different drivers in that race alone.
Yeah, it sounded like he got impeded in quali as well, which happens to him quite a lot, which I'm not surprised about, but because some of the people racing here are not very aware during quali.
I don't think many people are aware, but you've got to try and hope that they do move out the way.
Yeah, I just tried to leave as big of a gap as I possibly can.
Right, okay, so next question for you. With the red flag coming out, lap 16, we'd still have 20 laps to go. If the bug didn't happen, how would you think your final 20 laps would have planned out?
I reckon I could have won the race because Liam would have been forced to start on the mediums after the red flag, and he would not have been able to take them the full 20 laps. So he would have been forced into another stop, and I wouldn't have because I had another set of hards. So I reckon I could have won the race, but I don't really mind because he's not really fighting me for the championship right now. So I'm fine with letting him win the race and me getting P2.
With the next race being at Belgium, what kind of expectations can we see out of you? Do you want to be challenging for the race at that kind of track?
Spa's my best track, so I'm hoping so. It's a track that I've challenged Liam at before, so I do want to be going for a win there, even if he is racing. But if he isn't racing, then I'll be upset if I don't win that race.
Okay, so those 18 points you got today bump you to 140 points in the standings, which will be 30 points clear at the top of the table. How do you feel about that?
It's a good gap to have. I think I've finished on the podium every race, so it gives me a chance to have a bad race every now and again. So yeah, it's a nice gap, but it's obviously not guaranteeing me the championship yet. There's still a lot of races to go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the interview.
No problem.
Right, next is, let me have a look. Do we have Liam yet? We don't have Liam yet.
Liam has gone to get food, so you will not be able to.
We'll move down, so we'll go Pager is in 4th. Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're there. Good. So, first of all, how do you think your race planned out?
To be honest, it was quite a bit boring the entire race. I was kind of just stuck behind either a driver or just very slightly in front of another. and the entire race was just pretty much boring.
Do you find any difficulties when sat in DRS trains to try and make an opportunity, or is it not an issue for you to just be patient with it?
Well, trying to stay with Ivy was like a really big issue because I was pretty much burning all my battery wherever I was able to, and whenever he was recharging, I'll just do the same to try and like keep the same pace as him because I knew if I ran out of battery too early and he saves enough, then he'll just run away. So I just struggled a lot to stay with him, but I'm just happy that I did manage to stay with him for until he pitted, and then his race just went downhill from there.
All right, so in the standings, you were 53 points at the start of this race. The 12 points you got bumped you up to 65 points. How do you feel about that?
I'm happy with it. I'll take fourth. It's just that if the red flag wasn't there, I think I could have fought for third on the podium. But I'm still happy with fourth. It gained me a place from where I started. So I'll take fourth, but I think I really could have fought for third in that race.
Obviously, you was P3 just before the red flag, but Ender Epic ended up getting you. Is there a case of you now wish that you had fought that position harder, or was it a case of he was just too close in that lap?
Well, if I knew the red flag was coming, then yeah, I would have 100% fought it. But because it just came out of nowhere, then yeah, I kind of just couldn't do anything about it. If I knew about it, then yeah, I would have fought it. And now I was a bit annoyed because it came, and I was just hoping it would like get going again, but it never did. So I was a bit annoyed by that. I'll still take fourth, even though I could have fought for third this race.
I mean, yeah, with that bug happening, if the red flag did happen and then the bugs didn't happen like it did, how do you think your final 20 laps would have planned out, starting fourth behind Ender Epic on the second row of the grid? How do you think that would have planned out?
I think for the entire rest of the race, it would kind of just be me and him going back and forth, just switching places. Because at the start, when he overtook me, I was just kind of thinking like we should just DRS train each other to try and catch Newt, but because of the red flag, that never happened. So if it restarted, then I think we probably would have done the exact same thing to try and stay with him at least.
All right, thank you. Right, next down the list, who do we have? We have Ivy in 6th place.
You're up.
Hello. So, 6th place, I know you had a few little bits of contact throughout this race. How do you think your race overall went?
I mean, it could have gone better. But, no, I mean, for me, the pace just wasn't there. I couldn't find grip on the track anywhere.
Unfortunate to hear about the grip. Do you regret pitting that early on with the amount of chaos that was happening behind, or did you feel the tyres were completely going away from you?
My tyres are in the 70s, so I didn't want to drag them much further in case I got a puncture.
So, with the red flag coming out lap 16, if it didn't happen, how do you think you would have happened being on the 3rd row of the grid alongside me?
Without the red flag, I reckon I could have possibly fought for a podium, but it would have been a stretch with, of course, the incidents, spin, just just wasn't my lucky day, I guess.
Do you feel more confident going into a track like Spa that is a bit more technical and less reliant on top end speed?
Yeah, I mean, get along with the track, especially in the wet, so if there's one thing I can count on with Spa, it's hopefully a bit of rain.
Okay, so in the standings, hold on, I think it's 10 points you got. No, 8 points you got. Bumps you up to 108 points. That puts you 30 points behind Newt, but practically about 40 points ahead of Pages. You're kind of sitting in a league of your own in the table. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, of course, Newt's a strong driver, so I'm hoping I can close the gap. I mean, Spain showed that I've got the pace there, and hopefully with a bit of luck I can close in towards the end of the season, give them a good battle for it, but I'll be happy with second.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You happy with that amount of interviews, Lee? Because you said me. That's the last one. Still on mute. Yeah, that's fine. He said. Okay, so, all right. Thank you to everyone. Sorry if we didn't get to you, but well, it's Spa next week. Unlucky about the red flag because the final 20 laps could have gone completely different to how it was. But there was no Liam today for interviews. We could have had him for interviews, but there was no Liam.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, then, that was the PRL interviews. Sorry about the confusion and the red flag causing the race to be done early. This is the PRL Racing League. Hopefully the standards are better for next time out at Spa. And we'll see you next week, same time.